What's up, folks? Welcome back to TacticalTortoise. My name is Trevi, and it's time for a very special version of Datasheet Deep Dive. What we're going to be doing today is talking about two brand new datasheets that were just released on Warhammer Community. These are the units from the new Kill Team boxed set, and stats for them for use in Warhammer 40,000 were just released. Now, they are very similar units, but they come from two different factions. These are the Tempestus Aquilons for Astra Militarum and Vespid Stingwings for the Tau Empire. Now, unlike most datasheet deep dives, we're not going to go super duper deep into each of these datasheets because we have two to cover from two different armies. But what I will do is give an overview of their datasheets, abilities, and some synergies that you can use alongside them inside each of their factions. The simpler of the two datasheets are the Vespid Stingwings. This is largely an update to the Vespid Stingwing datasheet from the Tau Empire Codex, and they have been reworked slightly but given a lot more options. First off, they come with a fairly standard top-line profile. They're relatively resilient light infantry at toughness 4 with a 4+ save, a long movement characteristic of 12, a leadership of 7, and only OC 1. However, one of the highlights of the Vespid profile has always been their attack profiles. While they aren't very good in melee, only with 1 attack each and strength 4 AP 1, they do come with that spicy neutron blaster, an 18-inch range 2 attack, strength 5 AP 2, 2 damage assault weapon. Now with this new datasheet, they can also equip some special weapons. This includes neutron grenade launchers, which fire D6 blast attacks at 18 inches with anti-infantry 3 at strength 4 AP 1. Again, for that pretty solid 2 damage. They can also equip a neutron rail rifle, a single shot strength 10 AP 4 3 damage weapon, or a standard Tau flamer at a regular flamer profile. Now the downside of these special weapons is that if we look at the back of the Vespid Stingwing datasheet, they are required to take a full unit of 10 in order to be equipped with them. The other capacity that you can bring them in is simply a unit of 5, in which case they come equipped with neutron blasters and none of these special equipment. Now, given the fact that Vespid Stingwings are typically solely a utility unit and don't really have much use in other capacities, you're likely going to forego these special weapons just to take more small units of them. It is unfortunate as well that Vespid come in with a base ballistic skill characteristic of 4 on all of their ranged weapons, except of course for that Torrent Tau Flamer, and they don't have access to the For the Greater Good army ability that normal Tau units do. They simply have Deep Strike as a core ability, so you're not able to guide them. There are very few ways of improving their accuracy, which means that putting extra points into this unit to get access to very inconsistent heavy weapons is probably not where you're going to be spending your time. Instead, we are most likely just going to be taking 5 of them as a utility unit, which is incentivized by their airborne agility ability. This, at the end of your opponent's turn, allows them to pick up and place into strategic reserves, and because they have Deep Strike, they can then arrive later on during your own turn. Now, this is actually a pretty dramatic rework of the airborne agility effect. Previously, this effect came into play at the end of your movement phase, which actually gave Vespid Stingwings an extremely unique capacity when it came to units with this uppy-downy effect. This allowed them to screen out rapid ingresses. You could theoretically place them in your reinforcement step during your movement phase in a position where your opponent would like to rapid ingress, prevent your opponent from rapid ingressing, and then because it's your turn and you can choose how effects resolve, simply declare your airborne ability at the end of the movement after screening a potential rapid ingress. That was a very unique use of this effect, but to be honest, I'm not entirely sure it was intended. There are no other uppy-downy effects like this previous version of airborne agility, and it was probably meant to work like all of the other end of the opponent's turn reinforcement rules, but was typoed and simply never changed. That's obviously different now. Now it works like basically all of the other ones in the game, where they will go into reserve at the end of the turn. Now, if you do take 10 Vespid Stingwings in a unit, they can use the Oversight Drone. This allows you once per game to remove the drone token to gain ignore cover on all of their ranged weapons. This is actually kind of a nice little improvement because the neutron blasters are pretty medium AP. Being AP2 or so and ignoring cover actually does give them a pretty solid profile and knocking down things like Space Marines, other medium infantry. However, you do have to take 10 models in the unit in order to unlock this effect, so I question how often they're actually going to be doing that. Now, given the fact that Vespid Stingwings lack a lot of the internal synergy that most Tau units include, they, for example, don't have For the greater good, so they're not able to guide or benefit from guidance. This also means that they get very limited bonuses from many of their detachment abilities, since, for example, they're not able to improve the effect of their Aquilon or Montka effects thanks to targeting spotted units. That said, while the Montka detachment ability will likely not apply given that they already have assault on at least their neutron blasters, it can potentially affect their other weapons as well. However, the Aquilon detachment ability will apply with sustained hits 1, which is a nice little bonus to the unit. You can also get additional effects on them that don't require them to be guided. For example, in Aquilon, you can use Tempting Trap for +1 to wound, Point Blank Ambush for +1 AP, and similarly in Montka, we can improve their accuracy with Pinpoint Counter Offensive. Because the Vespid are not a Crute unit, they're eligible to trigger Pinpoint Counter Offensive when they're destroyed. The Tau only don't care about Crute, I guess. They do care quite a bit about their Vespid Stingwings. You can also improve their mobility with aggressive mobility, allowing them to synergize with those assault weapons by moving farther distance, especially good for completing secondaries. Despite the fact that they are equipped with neutron weapons, you can also use Pulse Onslaught to reduce enemy movement when fired at them, and you can improve their AP with Focused Fire. If you want to improve their accuracy in other situations, Commander Shadowsun also provides a static aura of reroll 1s to hit. It's not the biggest deal, but it is not keyword locked. As long as they are a Tau Empire unit, which they are, then you'll be able to get access to that. So there are ways outside of these detachments to help out that relatively low ballistic skill already. Now moving over to the Tempestus Aquilons, the brand new unit in this release. These guys are a new Militarum Tempestus infantry squad for the Astra Militarum, equipped with jump packs. And this datasheet looks absolutely insane. It is conserved a little bit by the fact that you do have to take them in units of 10. Unlike the Vespid Stingwings, you're not able to take only 5 as a utility unit. You do have to pay the full points for the max unit of them, but they are likely that they are worth their 90 points. The Tempestus Aquilons, interestingly, for what is ostensibly a jump pack unit, do come in at the standard Tempestus Ions top line profile, including a movement characteristic of 6, toughness 3, a 4+ save, only 1 wound at a leadership 7, and OC 1. That 6-inch movement is very interesting. Their jetpacks, I guess, are only grav shoots, which allow them to precision drop closer to enemies, but don't actually improve their movement once on the table. They are just ground pounding once they have arrived. However, it's important to talk about their special abilities because they're going to contextualize everything that we talk about here. This includes precision drop, which allows them a 3-inch deep strike when setting up using the deep strike ability. They can't declare a charge after that deep strike, which is fine because their melee profiles are very bad. However, this allows them to act as an incredibly strong utility unit or just get in range of basically anything with their swath of special weapons. They also have the servo sentry ability. This allows them to, when they arrive using deep strike, immediately fire their sentry weapon. Now, one of the Tempestus Aquilons is going to be equipped with either a sentry flamer, grenade launcher, or volley gun. This is the weapon mounted on their little remote drone, and it effectively allows you to fire it twice. They're able to fire it once when they arrive from deep strike. That weapon then persists. It's just equipped to one of the Tempestus Aquilons, so you can then, during your shooting phase, fire it again. Being able to fight in your movement phase also adds some additional utility to this unit. They're able to come in and potentially clear out light infantry screens, things like Toughness 3 infantry, especially if there's only 5 of them. They have a non-zero chance of getting rid of, or even if they kill some models, they can open some screening positions for other Tempestus units to arrive, which I think is kind of the intended use of this unit. I believe as well that the servo sentry ability can also apply when the unit rapid ingresses. It does set up using the rules for the deep strike ability when it rapid ingresses, so I think that satisfies the conditions for servo sentry to trigger. That would potentially allow you to kill your opponent's units at the end of their own movement phase, which, while is unlikely, given that you're only shooting one slightly upcharged flamer at them, or potentially a grenade launcher, can change their arithmetic quite a bit, especially if, for example, they're trying very hard to take an objective from you, and you can drop in and put a flamer on their OC2 battle line infantry and kill a couple of them in order to swing the control of that objective. There are a lot of potential ways to use this ability that you'll discover over the course of play. If you have multiple Tempestus Aquilons, for example, you have a pretty good shot at dropping a bunch of them down on on a single enemy screening unit, killing it, and then allowing a larger drop later on during that movement phase. Not only is this a useful ability, but it also just strictly improves their damage output, giving them additional shots with those sentry weapons, which are already upgunned compared to a standard infantry weapon. It makes you wonder why the Militarum even recruits troops at all. Just take a bunch of these little sentry guys. Apparently they're way better at using their guns than guardsmen are. Now, what weapons can we equip on this unit? They come stock with hotshot las carbines. This is a 2-shot strength 3 AP1 weapon with assault out to an 18-inch range. Importantly, these are not rapid fire. Their only rapid fire weapons are their volley guns, which means that they don't really get any benefit from first rank fire, second rank fire. If you are ordering these to improve their damage output, you are most likely just giving them take aim for +1 to hit, although they do have a base 3+ ballistic skill on most of their weapons, not their bolt pistols for whatever reason, but everything else. And if you're able to get an order on them, that would bring them down to a 2+ ballistic skill. Now, they have some interesting options that are just based on models in the kit, I imagine, including the ability to replace their carbines with las pistols, either 1 or 2 las pistols, although you're likely not taking this option. Having pistols for when the unit is engaged is okay, but to be honest, a las carbine firing out to a longer range is probably more useful. And I imagine if these guys get stuck in melee, they're probably just going to die anyway, so I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. However, they do get a couple options of special weapons, including one Melta carbine. This is essentially a range 10 Melta gun with assault and Melta 2, firing one shot at strength 9 AP4 for D6 damage. Because they can 3-inch deep strike, you can get that Melta carbine into Melta range right off the bat, but you are only equipping one of them in the unit. Alternatively, you could have a plasma carbine, essentially a plasma gun profile at 2 shots out to an 18-inch range. Last and certainly not least, you can have one hot shot long las. This is a heavy precision weapon at strength 4 AP2 for a flat 3 damage. Kind of a nice punchier gun in there as well. Now, in terms of those sentry weapons, it's actually kind of the most exciting part about the unit. As I mentioned before, they are slightly improved versions of infantry special weapons. This includes the Sentry Volley Gun, a 4-shot rapid-fire 4 weapon at strength 4 AP1 for 1 damage, although only at a 4+ ballistic scale. The Sentry Grenade Launcher fires either 2 strength 9 AP2 D3 damage crack shots or D3+3 frag shots with blast at strength 4 AP0 for 1 damage, or it can just take a flamer. A Sentry Flamer shoots D6+3 shots at a standard flamer profile, strength 4 AP0 for 1 damage, ignoring cover with Torrent, so it automatically hits. Again, you are likely going to be able to shoot that Sentry Flamer twice when these guys arrive, because they're going to be able to do it once during your movement phase, then also during their shooting phase. So you could potentially be firing 2d6+6 Flamer attacks out of this unit, in addition to all of the las carbine shots that they're getting. This makes Tempestus Aquilons incredibly solid infantry sweepers, especially against light infantry. And given the fact that you can also use them to score secondaries extremely effectively with that 3-inch deep strike, this makes this unit incredibly useful. Now, it is also important to note that they do have the smoke, grenades, and regiment keywords, all of which are incredibly impactful. Smoke and grenades give them access to the core rule stratagems. Because they can come in closer than 8 inches to target, they can throw grenades in your shooting phase immediately upon arriving, one of the few units in 40k that can actually throw grenades out of reserve. On top of that, the smoke keyword can make them harder to kill by providing smoke screen during your opponent's shooting phase, and the regiment keyword allows them to be reinforced. It is important, however, to note that they do not have the Tempestus Scions keyword, so they do not get access to battle line from Militarum Tempestor Primes. This means that they cannot be used to, for example, score War of Attrition in the Pry and Nexus format, the secret mission, that you must use standard Tempestus Scions in order to do that. These guys don't really get any synergies from any other units in the Militarum Index, because they don't have any attachments and don't have the correct keywords to get any bonuses that would affect other Tempestus Scions. You can, however, use some other units, things like Scout Sentinels, to give them reroll ones to hit are nice. And if you are bringing in any other characters out of reserve, you can potentially order these models when they arrive. So if you have Tempestus Primes coming out of Deep Strike at the same time as the Aquilons, you can trigger your voice of command to issue orders at the end of your movement phase in order to actually apply orders to them. Although most likely you would prefer that those Tempestus Primes be ordering whichever of their own units they are attached to. There are going to be some situations in which you can bring these guys in a position where they can be ordered at the end of the phase as normal. Now, looking at these two units side by side, while Vespid Stingwings have been an important part of Tau Empire armies in the past, offering some very cheap deep strikers that can complete secondaries repeatably, the Tempestus Aquilons are kind of a new and exciting inclusion for Militarum. Astra Militarum has never been bad at scoring secondaries. They do have a lot of access to small deep striking units and utility units, but the Aquilons are exceptionally strong at it and also provide some additional benefit to the army thanks to just their ability to clear out enemy screens. While they are relatively expensive, given the fact that you have to bring the entire unit of 10, you can't leave 5 random dudes at home, I do think that you are likely to see these in Militarum lists in the future. But let me know down in the comment section what you think about these two data sheets. Are you going to include them in your armies? And thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. Thanks as well to everybody who supports the channel either over on Patreon at patreon.com/TacticalTortoise, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subscribers. All you people are amazing, and I love you. Remember to keep it classy, folks, and have happy wargaming.